You
Hmm.
know what else didn't make Riley's list? Da, 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 da,
Well, that
da.
was intentional.
I know.
That should have.
Where's Pom Pom Playgirl too?
Oh Lord, what is?
Yeah, I
It's
love
all
that one.
right.
I know you do, Nate.
Perfect 5 out of 10 song.
That's generous. Hey everyone, my name is Jake, and welcome to the 66th episode of Good Timin. As always in this podcast, we're going to be talking about one of our favorite bands, the Beach Boys. And today we have a pretty fun and unique show in store for you all, as we're going to be sharing and discussing some of our own personal tracklist changes that we would make to help improve some of the original Beach Boys studio albums. So, of course, the Beach Boys have put out plenty of amazing records over the years that we all still really love just the way they are. But I feel that even some of those great albums could often be improved upon with just a few small tweaks or adjustments. So today we're going to be sharing some of those changes that each of us would personally make. So some examples of things that we're allowed to change around for this discussion include removing or replacing tracks, adding additional tracks if they would have realistically fit onto one side of the vinyl record, and also just resequencing songs to help create a more cohesive listening experience. And in addition to this, we're also allowed to have a little bit of creative liberty here. So if a song was first recorded a little bit too late to have realistically appeared on a certain album, we can still include it if we feel that it would have fit well on that record. And similarly, if a song wasn't ever totally finished by the band or it never got past demo form, we're still allowed to feature like a hypothetical completed version of that song on a track list if we'd like to. And then lastly, I just want to remind some of our listeners that discussions like this are totally subjective. There's likely going to be some changes that we don't all agree on or understand, but that's part of the fun of having these discussions in the first place, is hearing different viewpoints and perspectives. So joining me tonight, I have my good friends Riley, Matt, and Nate. So as always, I'm happy to have you guys here, and I'm really curious to hear some of your fantasy track lists that you came up with. So from this point on, we're going to just have a loose conversation and share some of the album changes that we would make. So do any of you guys want to kick us off and share an alternate track list that you would have liked to have seen? All right, Riley, go ahead.
So, riding off the coattails of our last discussion with the Love You box set, I think it'd be pretty cool to talk about a possible 1977, 78 release, um, and particularly MIU, because there's a lot of stuff from these sessions or this time that was honestly cut or changed. Um, and I remember in the MIU episode or some other episode we talked about how the way MIU was formatted was almost similar to today, where you have a lot of the faster upbeat songs in the front, and
Mhm.
then the side two you have some of the slower, more ballad heavy stuff. And I kind of rode with that, and it's not exactly an adult child release either, but I think it's kind of a nice middle ground where you're able to have some of those adult child highlights without any of the necessarily the weirder tracks that would kind of prohibit it from actually being released in the first place. So I tried to format this pretty evenly, 6 songs aside. Side A is the faster, upbeat stuff. Life is for the living. She's got rhythm. Pitter patter. Baseball's on. Almost summer and come go with me. And then side B, you have some of the more ballad stuff or just some slower mid-tempo tracks. Match Point starts off. Sherry, She Needs Me. Deep Purple. My Diane. It's over now and still I dream of it.
Well, I did the same thing as you, where I restructured it, and like we just about did the same thing. I like also put the ballads in the second half, and I put the more up-tempo stuff on the first half. I did keep maybe one or two of the weird songs, but for the most part, I mean, I pretty much did what you did. I guess I'll just share mine since we just went over yours.
Yeah, by all
This was
means,
my
man.
this is my format, so I did the same thing. I combined MIU with some of the adult child stuff. So my track list, six aside. Side one, Life is for the Living, followed by Come Go With Me. It's trying to say, She's Got Rhythm, Everybody Wants to Live. And for the final track on side one, I went with Our Team, which is an MIU outtake.
Yeah.
I also would have been okay with Pitter Patter or Shortening Bread, the original Shortening Bread, closing out this side, but that was the six that I came up with. And then side two, I have Sweet Sunday Kind of Love, Match Point of Our Love, My Diane, It's Over Now, Deep Purple, and Still I Dream of It. So we have pretty similar track lists that we came up with there. If I would have thought of Almost Summer, I definitely would have included that too.
Yeah.
But that didn't even cross my mind. So
I think that would
um,
honestly be a great track or a great name for the album too, like Almost Summer. I mean,
we'll
they're still
see.
kind of riding off of the Brian's back kind of era of looking back at with love of the
Yeah,
60s.
Jesus. Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, there's like some obviously some weird stuff on there, and what I really like about this era is like they still put some weird stuff on MIU. Like you have a song about tennis, you have a song about rain, um, and it's I think it's just a good balance because I feel like I don't know I feel like Adult Child was shelved almost a little too quickly because there's a lot of good material on it. Matt, Nate, anything you'd probably put on an MIU era album?
What jumps out to me is pulling more from Mike's celebration endless or sorry, not endless summer, almost summer album, that first one. Uh was it called Endless Summer oh my, here I go again. Almost Summer,
I
or
think it
was it just
was,
called
yeah.
Celebration?
It was
Yeah.
a celebration album. I
Anyway,
think it was there is some good Mike stuff. First Love probably could have been thrown on there too. Why not?
yeah, okay, yeah, it was Almost Summer is the album I'm thinking of, which was done at the same time as MIU.
Yep.
Like basically those sessions and the MIU sessions were happening at the same time. So two songs from that album that we haven't mentioned that I really like are Cruisin', which is kind of it's okay, like a Little Deuce Coupe style song. And then Sad Sad Summer, I think is really, really pretty. And I think that would fit with the vibe of the songs on your both of your guys' proposed B-sides. And then there's also a cool version of Summer in the City that Celebration did
Like the
on
Love and
The
on
Spoonful
that.
Love and the
song?
Love and Spoonful one.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
on
They
lead?
it's not Mike. I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of the other guys that was in the group sang lead on it. And yeah, that's a cool version too.
That'd be interesting having like a cover on each side of the record. Come Go With Me and maybe.
which album has that remade version of Getting Hungry? Isn't that one of the Celebration
Yeah,
albums?
that's
Dude, that
their
one's a banger. That's heat.
yeah, that's the self-titled Celebration album.
That came
I
out in
get those two
79
mixed
though.
up.
Like, I mean, it could
Yeah.
probably be thrown in on there.
It's close
And then
enough. Yeah.
also Peggy Sue didn't make either of your guys'
No, I don't like that cover.
lists.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay for me.
Honestly, I
That
love Buddy Holly and I like a lot of the songs he wrote, but even that is a Buddy Holly song. I don't think it's one of the strongest he wrote.
I
No, I
think it
think
would be kind of cool just as a hypothetical to maybe have like a few of the oldies covers like stacked
Calendar Girl
together.
would have been a cool one to throw on there.
I would have been okay with. Yeah, Calendar Girl's cool. Yeah. Matt, any thoughts on MIU or resequencing it or anything that we've said?
well, I've always kind of been half and half with that record. Like there are some songs I really like and some songs I don't care for at all. And I think that like when you combine kind of like all the stuff that was in the vault and on other releases, you can really get a really nice record. So I really like both of your guys' imaginings of it. Because yeah, I'm not big on Peggy Sue either. And then there's of course Bells of Paris, which I might think is one of the most boring songs they ever did.
Winds of Change.
Winds of Change, I'm not. I know that that one has its fans. I'm not the
I gotta
biggest.
get my food.
I'm one of them.
Bells of Paris, I just think is so boring. And then there's Kona Coast, which is just kind of corny. And then
Did
like
that not make either of your guys' lists either?
Nah, this doesn't. It just
That would be on my
to me
list
it's
for
just
sure
annoying.
as hell.
But
and I can't get past the Chris's version either with Hawaii Taka. Oh my God. But yeah, no, I think your guys' versions are more clean and cohesive and definitely a better mix.
it's like a balance, because you're getting some of the more, the original MIU. Like Riley said, it has some fun tracks on it, has some nice moments, but there's also a lot of stuff that I kind of consider just forgettable. So, you put some of the more unique, kind of out there recordings from the Adult Child sessions on there, and you get a more interesting album for sure. And I like that you can sequence it, with the more fun stuff and the more upbeat stuff on the first half and the ballads on the second half. So,
It's interesting too. I really tend to think of Adult Child and MIU as in like completely different universes, so to speak. Uh, just in that like they're sonically so different, and Adult Child was largely Brian's baby, and Brian and his brother is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, whereas Dennis and Carl are like nearly absent from MIU almost altogether. And that was sort of Mike and Al's baby. And so imagining pulling tracks from each and compiling them into one project is like something that had never really crossed my mind before, just because I considered them such different albums
Mhm.
with, essentially almost like different creators at the end of the day. And so it's
Well, yeah, you had
interesting
Ron
to
Alt
merge
back on
them.
MIU, and I think that's kind of the thing that kind of breaks it for me is I think some of the songs, similarly to honestly 85, could have been elevated with just much more interesting production. It's just very schmancy.
I mean, there's a bootleg mix that recently leaked of My Diane, and it sounds a lot better than the one that made the album. Like the one that made the album, like it's one of the better recordings on there for sure. But like this bootleg one just sounds like it has a lot more life to it. So obviously
Yeah,
something
there's a lot
happened
of
with the
leaks lately. I kind of wish I was able to listen to them because maybe I could have put them on there, but
yeah. All right. Do any of you want to go next and share an album or a change you'd make to an album?
Yeah, I'll go next.
All right,
So
Matt.
I'm gonna jump to the late 60s, 2020. Now,
Okay.
I'm not gonna make too many changes here because I actually kind of like how eclectic this album is, but there is one thing I would take off. Side two, track one, that version of Cotton Fields, I think is horrible. I really don't like it at all. It just sounds weird. So, using the qualifications that Jake had said, where like we can pick anything that came out like within a year, I'm going to put a song that was never on an album, but I think fits very well on this album and would make a great side two opener, Breakaway, which I think
hmm.
is an awesome song. And I think that it fits as like a side two opener, and it's way better than that version of Cotton Fields, which I don't care for at all.
So for 2020, I only wrote one thing, and part of that thing was replacing the original Cotton Fields that's on this album. I do like your Breakaway swap that you did, but since Breakaway wasn't released at that time, I decided I'll be realistic. I'll do something that was being worked on around that time. I would have liked to have seen it replaced with a finished version of their cover of Walk On By,
Hmm.
the Bacharach, song that Dionne Warwick did. Even that demo, like to me, sounds really great. I would have loved to have heard them, finish that up and put it on a studio album. I think that would have been such a haunting and cool recording. So for me, I don't really care about like the sequencing for this album because it's kind of a hodgepodge to begin with. But I would have liked to have seen Walk On By somewhere on side two had they finished it. So
That's a good one too. Yeah, I don't know if that really works as an opener, but I think that would be a cool
yeah,
choice.
maybe not an opener, but definitely like somewhere on there. So any thoughts on that, Riley or Nate, on
Yeah,
2020?
I don't know. This is one of my lesser favorite albums in their catalog, and admittedly, I haven't really gone through a lot of their the sessions that they had for it. I know they have that whole CD that they did. Uh, I mean, all things considered, I mean that version of Confields just kind of suck. And Breakaway, the whole point of that was getting away from Capital. So I
Yeah.
probably would
Yeah.
agree with Jake. You would want to go with the Walk On By being finished. That's just what I wanted to hear finished anyways. Maybe some sort of version of Can't Wait Too Long as
Mm.
like a big thing from Brian. Um, Old Man River is actually one of my favorite outtakes from that time. I think I've mentioned
Good.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how well that'd fit on an album.
That's what I was thinking too.
But
I
it
was
is a
just trying to,
hodgepodge, though. You're not. There's really no wrong answer with this.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just the one that kind of sticks out in my mind, especially because like I love the 45 mix with Red Rose on the pedal steel, but I don't think that that really fits on an album. I like it better as a standalone single. I know that was one of the very last things
It's
they
on
ever did. Yeah.
Sunflower, but I don't think it fit on this.
Well, it
I
was
don't
on
even
Sunflower on some
in
mixes of it,
in
like,
the
Yeah, the
UK. I
Australian one,
think it.
right?
and
Yeah.
it was a really bad duophonic mix, which don't have to go on rants about that. Nate, any thoughts on what you would do with 2020?
If anything.
Yeah, that I've always preferred the single version of Cotton Fields as well, but I would definitely keep the original. I think they're obviously both country rock, but Brian's version is a lot more country and Al's version is a lot more rock, is how I would maybe describe it in simple terms. But I'd keep that. Especially, you got Hal Blaine on the drums, and I think there's still like enough merit to keep it on there. Personally, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of Never Learn Not to Love. I could probably lose that one. And I think if there was any song that they did release that I would think, hey, maybe this should have been one that we only heard as a bootleg and not as an official release, I would probably nominate that one. So maybe lose Never Learn Not to Love for historical reasons. And I would add, I like that Riley mentioned Can't Wait Too Long, which they did overdub on in 68 and work on around this time. So uh, timeline wise, it would work out, as well as that Old Man River is pretty cool.
Mhm.
The other songs that came to mind to add would be My Little Red Book, if that was a bit more fleshed out. Brian was working on a version of that around this time. And I think it was recorded possibly a little bit later. Uh, but I could see Celebrate the News working on this album as well. Um, this album really spotlighted Dennis as a songwriter and producer. And so, I would definitely not complain about having more of his stuff on there.
Celebrate
Um,
the News was going to be on an album. This would be the album, I feel like. I feel like that would fit here. I can't really picture it on a later one necessarily, but this one I could see it. So,
Wasn't that
yeah.
supposed to be on some like Capitol thing or something? There was like one album that was supposed to have like a bunch of like I think like some of the songs later ended up on Sunflower, and then we're gonna throw like the
it might
Lord's
have been
Prayer
one
on
of those,
there.
yeah, that one in between 2020 and Sunflower, maybe. One of those like proposed track
And it
lists.
had like
Yeah.
the weirdest track
So,
list ever. It had like the Lord's Prayer. I'm like, well, I like
oh my
that.
God. Yeah. I don't know what that was about,
How does
but
that fit on anything?
yeah.
Oh, well, since you mentioned it, I do kind of see 2020 as like White Album-ish in that there's like
Mhm.
not really a cohesive genre or even years of the song being recorded. It's all like a mishmash. And the Lord's Prayer, call me crazy, but if you're gonna have smile stuff on there, you might as well. I think that would kind of fit, especially if you sequenced it near the Our Prayer. Like if those two were combined, if it went from one to the other, it could be kind of almost a cool like prayer a cappella section medley, which would,
Yeah.
would be kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
I leave it to Brian or Bruce or Carl to figure out a way to segue those two together and make it work. That could have been kind of cool.
Yeah, that reminds me of like if you've ever listened to the Monkeys Headquarters album, and they have this like spoken word thing that's like zilch, and it's just like zilch, Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina, zilch, comma. It's just like all this like talking on top of each other. I haven't even heard it in years because I always just skip over it. But that's just like what I think of. That's what I think of if we were just putting all this like prayer stuff together. It's just like, all right, let's just throw it on there.
And I know it's more of a Wild Honey song, but since 2020 is already to begin with like a pretty loose collection, I think that Lonely Days song could fit on here as well. It does have that
Hmm.
like signature mid 60s Brian piano sound, but if you threw that
Hmm.
around Time to Get Alone and I Went to Sleep and that's part of the album, I think it could work there as well. And
Hmm.
I'm also not really taking into account like runtime on vinyl because I'm not super familiar with the exact amount of minutes where you'd be running over.
45. And this is at
Like
half an hour.
23, 20 to 26.
Well, I meant
Yeah.
45 for the whole thing, but you're right. Yeah, 23, 26 aside.
So since one of you guys already mentioned this track, possibly being on 2020, I'm going to mention it, but going on a different album. So I wish that Wild Honey, instead of closing with Mama Says, I wish that it ended with a completed version of Can't Wait Too Long. I know that like this song, some people might say, well, that one doesn't really have the same kind of like R&B sound of a lot of the songs on Wild Honey, but I also feel like you think of some of the like haunting songs on there, like Let the Wind Blow and Country Air, they kind of have an unsettling feel to them. I do feel like this song would compare with those and would fit for that reason. But really my main reason for including it on here is because number one, it's a gorgeous track. Even in its uncompleted form, I think it's a really, really haunting and beautiful song from Brian. But the other reason is that I think that it would have really reminded listeners at the time that this is the freaking Beach Boys. You know, like as great as the Wild Honey album is, I love that album, but it doesn't really have the same level of, the elaborate harmonies and the production that some of their
That's
previous
so
albums did,
true.
like Pet Sounds and Today. So you throw this kind of track on the end, people are listening to it, and you got some fun tracks at the end, like how she boogalooed it, but then you get to the end of the album and you get this haunting just masterpiece from Brian with these gorgeous group harmonies. I think that would be really effective, and I think it would remind people like, damn, like the Beach Boys are still like so damn good. So I think honestly, if you would put this song anywhere on this album, I think the album as a whole would have a probably a better reputation among fans and critics, because I think just this song being on there alone would elevate it for a lot of people. And also you think of other Beach Boys albums, like 2020, where you've got, some smile stuff at the end with Cabin Essence and Our Prayer. Then at the end of Sunflower, you have Cool Cool Water, which was a smile thing too. I know Can't Wait Too Long came a little bit after the smile stuff had already kind of been wrapping up, but I think it would have been a cool way to close out that album. So what do you guys think of replacing Mama Says with Can't Wait Too Long?
Definitely. I would also throw this out there. I know it was on 2020, but I know it was being worked on around this time. There's a version. Maybe take off like how she boogalooed it or a thing or two and throw on Time to Get Alone. That
Mm.
version.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah,
agree that
I'm cool with that too. Yeah.
I definitely agree. Can't wait too long is great because Mama Says I always thought was kind of lazy to be honest with you because it's just the part of vegetables that eat a lot, brush a
Yeah.
lot, whatever.
Yeah.
And then as far as putting on Time to Get Alone, that's definitely an interesting choice. I don't know if I want to How She Boogalooed It, I think is kind of a mess, but I kind of appreciate it that
I
it's
mean,
kind
it's
of a
still a
mess.
fun track.
I
I
It's
just
dig it.
fun.
think
I dig
that
it.
A thing or two, I've always kind of had a problem with the mixing of that song because
like
it's
Getting
like,
Hungry Part 2.
yeah, it's like parts of it are so quiet, and all of a sudden it just gets loud. It's like, do it right, baby. I'm like,
It's kind
okay.
of grown on me for that reason, though. Like I kind of like how it's like very out of nowhere. Like the beginning, you got like the "When I See
I mean,
My,"
this
and then
is
all
a
of a
very
sudden,
short album. I think we could just throw on another track. There's only 11 tracks on it. You might as well just throw on a
that's
12.
true. That's true. I don't even know if we necessarily need to, yeah, be removing stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say is I personally wouldn't lose anything, even if some tracks are a little inconsequential. I'd still just keep them because they're part of the pie.
yeah.
Um, you did really blow my mind about that observation about Wild Honey.
With
I
what?
never just how it's really has a for Beach Boys standards a lack of like elaborate vocal arrangements, and
Hmm.
like for the most part, it's a lot more like focused on like bass lines and organs and kind of this like pulled back thing. And I mean, I obviously heard it, but I never thought about it as eloquently as you put it before. So aside from the main point at hand, I just got to hand it to you, Jake, that that's a cool observation. Um, and yeah, I agree that Can't Wait Too Long would also fit on here very well. And the other thing I'd want to include, which was done at this time, was their version of With a Little Help from My Friends that Bruce produced and sang on. I actually sometimes, and this one really is dicey for me. Sometimes I obviously prefer the Beatles original because it's a great recording and really endearing with Ringo's vocal. But sometimes I prefer the Beach Boys version because it's like very chill and kind of almost has a bit of like a tropical uh vibe to it. So yeah, I think that would fit really well with the rest of Wild Honey.
Well, there's a
It
lot
does
of
have a.
people there's a lot of people that like Joe Cocker's version with the help of my friends better than the
I love
Beatles.
that version too.
Um, I'm
I struggle with that
I'm not
one.
the biggest fan of it, but yeah.
I'm just a big Wonder Years fan, and they use that his version as the theme song, and so it's like a nostalgic thing. I used to watch that show with my parents.
But that's definitely an interesting choice. I know they also didn't they also do a version of the letter around this time, or there's a
They did.
version.
I like it.
Oh
They
yeah,
did a
That's a
good
that's
pretty
job
good
another
with
one
that.
that
version.
I would totally include for sure.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
got time to take a fast train.
Yeah, I like the whatever it is, harmonium or organ, whatever it is on there. I like that sound on their version of the letter. That would be a cool choice too. But yeah, I think there's definitely some cool stuff you could throw on here, especially because like this is a very like I know this has been called like their back to basics record, like kind
Mhm.
of like after the the elaborate orchestration of Pet Sounds. I know there was also Smiley Smile, but Smiley Smile kind of still has some of those like
That was a
old
Rush release, pretty much.
that was yeah. This is like a lot of people have called this like the precursor to like the Beatles' White Album and whatever that Dylan album he did in 1968 is called.
I think
Like
the
the
Beatles were already on that track, though.
yeah, but Definitely a lot of cool stuff in the vault around that time.
Nate, do you want to pick an album or an
Yeah,
album change that you would make?
sure. I would add a few songs from 1961 and 1962 to Surf and Safari, the stuff that they did with Hype Morgan. Primarily, the ones that come to mind that I think would fit well would be Luau, Karate, and maybe Barbie. I think Barbie would fit well. Hell, maybe What is a Young Man Made of too, if there's enough running room for it.
I love that
Um,
one.
I I love all that really early like rock and roll stuff, and I think there's like so much charm, and I think even Karate would like, in my opinion, have been like a historical addition to that album because it's like a very early surf instrumental. Granted, there were the Safaris and the Shantays and the Ventures were
Mhm.
starting around this time, but still, surf rock was really in its infancy at this time. And so it would have been cool to have like a Beach Boys original surf instrumental on the album. So yeah, just sprinkling in that 61 Hype Morgan stuff into their first album
Mm.
is the one I feel most strongly about.
I
To
Well,
think
me,
I'd
it
some
kind
take
of sucks that most of that stuff you have to either find gray market bootlegs or these compilations that disappear off of streaming, or
Mhm.
it's hard to find all those tracks in one place with good sound quality, and you just wish that they would have been on a studio album.
Mhm.
Yeah, the only one that was licensed was the Surfin, which they sped up a semitone because it sounds much higher pitched on
Hmm.
the Surf and Safari version than it does in the original tape. I like quite a bit of that stuff. I am a big fan of What Is a Young Girl Made Of because I know that I remember Jim Murphy said he wasn't super crazy about it, but I really like it because it kind of has like that innocent teen pop vibe from the era that I'm a sucker for. And I think you're right. I think Luau is thematically pretty fitting. Anything to get rid of 10 Little Indians is a win for
You
me.
took you beat me to it. You beat me to it. I was
Because
gonna say the
that song is
same thing.
horrible.
very low bar,
Karate,
man.
huh? What'd you say?
That's a very low bar.
Very low bar, right? Karate, I think that's for me, that's more of a curiosity than I think needs to be on a studio album, but I can definitely see the appeal. Jake, were you gonna say something?
Nope, just what Riley, what you guys said. 10 little
I
Indians
was
can go.
I was gonna say the thing we did talk about with Jim Murphy that is a pretty interesting point is they had to fit the image that they were setting. Because there's a lot of songs that Brian and Gary wrote around this time that were really good songs, but they just weren't marketable.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if it was right around this time, maybe it was a little after. It'd be like songs like Malibu Sunset. I know that was more Gary than Brian, but
Yeah.
like imagine that on Surf and Safari just randomly placed in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, I mean, a lot of those the Hype Morgan stuff, like I personally would have wanted Lavender. I mean, I know that they had
Hmm.
some covers on there, so that probably could have also been thrown in. Um, and there's like that whole like Gold Star sessions, I think from like early six or mid 60 or I don't know, but a lot of that stuff could have been thrown on there, but it was really hard to fit and market that. Like they were, the teen sensations that were doing, rock and roll numbers about like root beer and shit. So like how can you really market songs like Lavender and stuff? Granted, I mean Karate probably could have been thrown on there. Maybe they could have re-recorded it at with Capitol. Um yeah. There's a lot of potential at a reimagining of a first Beach Boys album.
Right. Riley, you want to give us another change you'd make?
We're already on the 60s, so I think I've also mentioned this one combining Little Deuce Coupe and Shutdown Volume 2. I think there's a lot of different ways you could approach this. I would still probably call it a car-centric album, as both of them were. But I mean, I think Little Deuce Coupe was almost way too rushed. There's a lot of stuff they could have thrown on there. Uh, I mean, Brian was also kind of, I don't think he's at a songwriting peak, but he was starting to kind of get into that really good songwriting zone here at the late 60s or late 63, early 64. I do have a track list, but I mean, I think you can go a lot of different.
Would you remove the re-release songs and just have
Yes.
new
So,
ones?
I mean, honestly, no Little Deuce Coupe on there. That was on a Surfer Girl. Um, no shutdown and no 409. I am keeping Be True to Your School. I know that was a single release, but I mean, I just think that song slaps, so I'm keeping it on there. I am going with the album version, not the single version, but I mean, it really doesn't matter. So, side A, fun, 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 car crazy cutie in the parking lot, cherry, cherry coupe, don't worry, baby, and the warmth of the sun.
Mm.
Um, I think having those back to back is that's a 1-2 punch right there that you can't really beat. Then side B, you have Be True to Your School, This Car of Mine, Spirit of America, Keep an Eye on Summer, Ballad of Old Betsy, and A Young Man Is Gone. Kind of going with that ballad heavy side too, but granted, it is kind of a ballad heavy album. You have Don't Worry Baby, Warmth of the Sun, Keep an Eye on Summer, and all those. But this is when Brian was really getting into writing some great ballads. So you do also have Fun, 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 and Be True to Your School, as well as a couple of others to keep that upbeat stuff going. But you can even throw some stuff in there, I think, from some of the other artists she's working on. Maybe do Pamela Jean, because I think the Beach Boys kind of did a version of that too instead of Car Crazy Cutie. And I think that one just hits way more, but doesn't really matter. I think there's potential for a really great early Beach Boys album here. And they kind of missed it by separating them by like, what, a month, 2 months?
Yeah. Well, this was because Capital was just hungry for more product, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
but Little Deuce Coupe came out, I think, December 63. And I think Shutdown Volume 2 came out in February 64.
Pretty
So if
early
they
in the
really
year.
just took their time, they would have had a incredible release. But I guess the album wasn't really an album yet, so it didn't really matter.
Lil Juice Coupe came
Yeah.
out 3 weeks after Surfer Girl. That's how you know it was late.
Yeah, that's also true.
But yeah, no, and I would say I was thinking we should call it, and this is I'm taking this from when Al was on when they were on American Bandstand, called Fun 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 because that's what Al said the record was called. Shut down
Yeah,
Volume 2. He said it was called Fun Fun Fun, so it's
I
called
think
Fun.
you could call it a lot of different things. Warmth of the Sun, if you want to get like really artsy. But if you want to look at it from a capital perspective, Fun 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 is also a really cool one. Or maybe Car Crazy Cutie or something, just car related.
Well, I'm very happy Car Crazy Cutie made on because I think that song is
Well, dude, you know it wasn't not going to get on
I
there.
think that song is really good. Yeah, no, I like that. I think you chose kind of the best of both. I don't think Little Deuce Coupe for me has anything like egregiously awful. There is definitely some stuff on Little Deuce Coupe that could have been kept in the vault, or I'm sorry, Shut Down Volume 2 that could have been kept in the vault, like Denny's drums. I really don't think.
Yeah, and I wanted to put maybe Why Do Fools Fall in Love on there because they have to have a cover. But I did have A Young Man Is Gone because I know they liked those a cappella things. But you could also just do Why Do Fools Fall in Love too.
You
Mhm.
know what else didn't make Riley's list? Da, 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 da,
Well, that
da.
was intentional.
I know.
That should have.
Where's Pom Pom Playgirl too?
Oh Lord, what
Yeah,
is
I
It's
love
all
that one.
right.
I know you do, Nate.
Perfect 5 out of 10 song.
That's generous. What was I gonna say? Oh, a couple of songs you didn't mention, I would have been okay with making it, but like I'm not that bummed that they didn't make your list. I would have been okay with either Custom Machine or No Go Showboat being on there, but
What about All
Yeah.
Dressed Up for School?
was
Well,
that?
I'll just shut the
is that a
school. I
little
think
too
that
late,
was
or is that
later
not?
64.
I think
Yeah,
that
that was
was later,
late.
Nate. That was closer
If
to
this
like All Summer
if
Long
if you
Today.
want to give
Got
this like a nice medium release, this was probably released like mid to late January, 64. Maybe just give it the Shutdown Volume 2 date, but maybe throw a
Yeah, it's
little something
amazing.
on.
It's amazing though how much better, like, you get two albums that are like have some great highlights, but are so spotty. You combine them together and like you got a pretty damn good record,
I
It's
would
just
put this honestly like this could be like a top 10 for me if this
oh
was
yeah.
I mean, they're both kind of around the same area. If I have to look back at the list that we did. Um, but you combine some of the best aspects. I mean, like obviously I would say Don't Worry Baby and Warm for the Sun are gonna be the two best songs on here, but you still have Fun, Fun, Fun. I'm a personal fan of Car Crazy Cutie. Even Be True to Your School, it slaps. Keep an Eye on Summer.
Mhm.
Uh, and some of those Little Deuce Coupe ballads that we got were also really good. So it's just, I don't think there's a song on here that is really skippable if you make your own kind of track list with it. So I'm kind of, I know Capitol wanted to rush release it, but if they had this in mind, it would just be incredible release.
All right. Who's next, Matt?
I guess I'm next. All right, I'm gonna jump ahead to Surf's Up. Now, this is an album that I wouldn't make
Hmm.
too many changes to, but there's one song that I know has its defenders, and I just really don't like. Student Demonstration Time. Goodbye. in its place. Wouldn't it be nice to live again? I know Dennis argued where this should have gone. He wanted it at the very end or whatever. Put it there. It's a great song. This needs more Dennis representation. It fits the end of a side. It's amazing. I don't care which version, whichever one you prefer. It's going on there. Goodbye, Mike Love's rewrite of a Leiber Stoller song. So that's an easy change for
Goodbye,
me.
Bachelor of Bullets.
Easy change for
Oh
me.
no,
This album goes up like 5 spots in my ranking when you do that. That's easy change for me.
I think the easy
Um,
changes take a lot off your feet being removed, but you guys all saw that coming. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with this. I mean, you see the potential landlocked release that's kind of like floating around, like all like the forums and stuff. I think there's a lot of cool songs, especially since they had like what 60 songs in the vault from this.
Yeah.
Um, just to throw out a couple, obviously Matt mentioned "Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again." I think Mike's "Big Sur" would have been a much better Mike Love song to have on there, especially since he wrote the whole thing himself. Um, soulful Sunshine song. Yeah, that one. I'd never noticed Carl's mistake, and to this day, I still listen to it, and it's really hard to find it. Um, it would have been an incredible opener, especially for the time, but yeah, I think you could probably even take off Surf's Up as a song, and still have a really great album if you do it any way you want. There's a lot of different combinations you could do. Dennis had a really cool instrumental called, I think, the Hawaii song that I
Hmm.
think also could have been thrown on there if they wanted some sort of instrumental, but there's a lot of different things you could do with this one.
Yeah, and I do like that version of Big Sur, but I also really like the suite we got on Hotland. So it's like I don't know if the song is perfect.
Yeah, that is a good point.
So for mine, what I wrote, I actually wrote that exact point down. If Big Sur had not been included on Holland and like it was just this original mix that existed, I would have replaced "Take a Load Off Your Feet" with it. Because I just think it's such a, again, it's a great way to get mic representation, and it is a superior song to that track. So I would have been okay with that. But I pretty much have the same thoughts as Matt. I wrote the same thing. Replace student demonstration time with "Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again." I don't really care where it's sequenced in the second half. I just want it in the second half. So to do that, what I did was I bumped up feel flows from the side two opener to the side one closer. So the order that my Surf's Up sequence would be is side one, Don't Go Near the Water, Long Promise Road, Take a Load Off Your Feet, Disney Girls, and then Feel Flows. So that's the end of side one. And then side two opens with Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again? Because I think it's a really strong way to open the side. Looking at Tomorrow, and then A Day in the Life of a Tree, Till I Die, Surf's Up. So that's my sequencing. I just feel like it opens strong with Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again. I like to put it by like Till I Die and Surf's Up, but at the same time, it's like I feel like Looking at Tomorrow isn't the strongest way to open side two. So I feel like you got to have a real, moving track to start it out. So
I see Soulful Old Man Sunshine as fitting a little more with the sunflower material.
I
I tend to think of
agree.
sunflower as like very like sugary sweet, almost
Yeah.
like a piece of bubble gum. And Soulful Old Man Sunshine really goes with that stuff. And I tend to think of Surf's Up as a bit like quirkier, if not like
It's the emo
melancholic in most
stepbrother or whatever. I
cases.
don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And for that reason, I do think the original version of Big Sur would fit quite well because despite being kind of a happy song, it does have this like feeling of melancholy as well, kind of like a bittersweet vibe to it. And I would totally add Live Again as well. My only place where I disagree is that I wouldn't add it in place of student demonstration time. I would just add it in addition to. And yeah, as for placement, I guess that doesn't make a huge difference to me because again, Surf's Up is an album that almost sounds like a new record on each song. Like, there it's quite a hard turn going from Long Promised Road to Take a Load.
Hmm.
Um, and
how
then,
about how about Disney Girls into student demonstration time?
that used to be something I detested, and now it's something I like just because of how weird it is. Like, there's
Mhm.
kind of a novel like entertainment factor of going from like this serene, beautiful ballad to like blasting fuzz guitar. It's kind of like I've heard someone describe it as Disney Girls is like a dream, and when student demonstration time comes blurring in, it's like waking up from a dream and back into like the real world. So I kind of like that aspect. And it's just kind of a fun thing to mention on the subject of student demonstration time. I sat next to Mike Stoller at a film screening a few months ago, and he was taking care of his wife, so I obviously didn't want to like bother the guy or anything. But when I got the chance, I just said, Mike, thank you for rock and roll. And there's so few people on this planet you could say that to. But Lieber and Stoller were really some of the original rock and roll songwriters. Hound Dog and Kansas City, and of course Riot in Cell Block 9, and so many classics. So I was like totally pinching myself at the fact that I was just sitting next to him at this screening. It was pretty surreal.
Like if you didn't write Riot in Cell Block number 9, we wouldn't have Mike Love's greatest lyric of all time.
Well,
Yeah, or
So
I
thank
mean,
you.
half of Elvis's catalog,
yeah.
or half of Elvis's early catalog, I should say.
Mm.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say earlier when you were saying Disney Girls is the dream. I was gonna say for Matt, Disney Girls is the dream. Student demonstration time's the nightmare.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I always wonder why somebody hasn't made a mix of Disney girls like with Disney adults or something. Like just seeing them around the freaking parks.
I am
With
surprised that
Disney
Mike
adults.
didn't re-release student demonstration time with all the demonstrations going on. You think
Could use a
Business
lyrical
Boy Mike
rewrite, I
would
think.
capitalize on it
Well,
for
after that
real.
COVID number, I don't think we need that again.
It's like I think we do. All right, so I'll share one now. This is the last big one that I wrote down. The rest are just like little things here and there. So this is Sunflower. And the thing that I'd like to change, now, first off, I love Sunflower as it is. Like, this is not an album that I'm like, oh, it desperately needs reworking or anything. But if I were to make a change, what I would do is I would add in Dennis's song Lady, Fallen in Love, which he did originally write for this album. And I would remove his song on side one, Got to Know the Woman. It's a fun song. I enjoy Got to Know the Woman. I know Matt does too. But if there is a song I would remove to make room for this one, this is the one I would take off. And then going with that, I also want to bump up Deirdre and It's About Time up to tracks 4 and 5 so that Lady can close side one really strongly. So my side one for Sunflower would be Slip On Through, This Whole World, Add Some Music to Your Day, Deirdre, It's About Time, and then Lady, Fallen in Love. Just because, yeah, I think Lady's a really strong closer to the side. And honestly, it's one of my favorite Dennis songs. I just think it's a gorgeous track. I love the strings on it, just the beautiful arrangement. And I think Dennis and Daryl Dragon did a great job with this thing. So it's a big favorite of mine.
Mm. Yeah, I like that change. I do like that song a lot. And I do enjoy Got to Know the Woman, but I am not obtuse to the fact that it is probably the weakest song on Sunflower, and I know that's a sentiment that many people feel. But yeah, no, I think Lady's a great song. I know wasn't that originally Dennis Wilson and Rumbo is what that was released
Yeah, it was a
on?
Dennis and Rumbo, but I think so. It was with Sound of Free, and Sound of Free, I believe, was a Dennis and Daryl co-write, and then Fallen in Love Lady is a Dennis solo write, but then Daryl, I think, helped with the arrangement and stuff. So
Yeah, that would be good. I know that wasn't there was that one version of Sunflower that swapped Deirdre with Got to Know the Woman, I think. Like the original
yeah,
UK.
there's some real weird, there's some interesting versions of it that you can find online, but
But I like that. Excuse me. I like that change. I think that's a really good change and makes an already great album even that much better.
mm-mm. Riley,
Lady
thoughts
is
on that
one.
or Nate?
I'm pulling up Sunflower. I don't remember the track listing, I'm not gonna lie, but I know which ones I would take off. So It's About Time and Got to Know the Woman, I think, are probably the two weakest, even though I have my faults with Tears in the Morning. I think it still kind of needs to be on Sunflower in some aspect. But I would probably put on Cotton Fields on there, get another Al vocal in there. Um, and probably Soulful Old Man Sunshine. I know I just said that for Surf's Up, but I mean, it kind of goes either way. And Nate does have a really good point that it is a very like upbeat, happy song. And I think that would just be a killer album right there. You might have to throw around the track listing a bit, but those are the only two I think I'd really want to throw on there. But there's a lot of good material from this time.
Yeah. I could see
Yeah,
like
I'd,
San Miguel. Sorry, I could see San Miguel being slotted in.
Yeah, San Miguel. I mean, if you want to put substitute Dennis song, probably take off Got to Know the Woman, put on San Miguel, and for the Al vocal, just take off It's About Time, put on Cotton Fields, and that'd be a hell of an album.
For I forgot one that I would have added to Surf's Up, and that's Sweet and Bitter. I think that's a cool track. Um, Lady is one that I would also put on Surf's Up more likely because I think it just fits with those songs a little bit better. But I would definitely open this up with Soulful Old Man Sunshine. I think that's like such a no-brainer to have as like a first song on an album
Mm.
because it just catches your attention so quickly and really keeps your attention the whole time with how dynamic the arrangement is. And you guys know how on Abbey Road they have Her Majesty, and it's like a minute of silence before it starts playing. I think it would be have been a not an essential track, just a funny little Easter egg. If say like there was a minute of silence at the end of Sunflower, and then they had that kind of like eerie, haunting rendition of Bruce playing "You Never Give Me Your Money" on the organ, and to have that just be like a little hidden bonus track where it's not even like listed as a song on the album. It's just something you have to like not take the needle off and wait to find as a surprise. I
My
think that would just be
Solution.
kind of cool.
Now that would be wild. Yeah, my solution.
Or at least I mean if you want a bad surprise, just their cover of Seasons in the Sun, or their version of Seasons in the Sun,
I
right?
like that, man. I like that cover. I still stand by that.
I mean, it's
I, like
Yeah,
I
I
fine.
said,
would throw that on Sunflower,
Mike,
especially with if it was the version with the harmonies on there.
well, Mike, was it Mike or Carl or someone said it was so wussy we had to throw it away? I think it was Mike who said that, right?
I think it was a mismatch for them, massive mismatch. But all right, who's up next here? Would it
Nate.
be Nate? All
Nate.
right, Nate, you got another one for us?
Yeah, yeah. I would go fast forward to That's Why God Made the Radio,
Hmm.
and I would add Mike's Cool Head Warm Heart, which was
Hmm.
on that Songs from Here and Back Again CD, but that wasn't really a proper studio album. So I would add Cool Head Warm Heart, and I would also add Waves of Love by Al Jardine.
Yes.
And honestly, this one might be a bit more controversial, but at this point we've all heard that 2000s version of She Believes in Love Again that Bruce like intended for this album. And I mean, it's by this point, albums are digital, so they can be as long as you need. And even if it was just like a bonus track or something, uh, I would throw that on there. Have, more representation from each of the guys in the band instead of just Brian and Mike writing the songs.
The Waves of Love idea. I wrote that. That was the one thing I wrote for this album. I said I wish that that would be on there because you get a Carl feature on there, and it's just a really cool song. It's a really moving song too. So I really like that one. And I wrote if we're gonna replace something for it again, not that we need to, like you said, Nate, with everything being digital and stuff, but if we're gonna replace one, I'll take Beaches in Mind off any day. So
Yeah, I
I do
think
think that She Believes in Love Again that I mentioned is a little sparse and would be a little out of place on That's Why God Made
Yeah.
the Radio. But if they
Also,
added some
it's good
drums
enough
to
as is
it
on
and
85.
yeah, that's true. But if they added some drums and acoustic guitars and arranged it a bit more on that version, I think it could have fit decently.
I don't
all
know
right.
enough to say about this album. Honestly, it's the one I come back to the least.
Yeah.
I've also this is random, but and I've always thought that Crocodile Rock should have gone on Summer in Paradise,
oh,
even though the timeline doesn't totally work, but in a world where it did, I think that
Oh, I've got a
that
conversation about
their
Crocodile Rock.
recording of Crocodile Rock fits with all the Summer in Paradise stuff like very
Agreed.
seamlessly,
I tell you what, it would have been a highlight of that album if it was on
right?
there.
It's not
I
a
mean,
bad cover.
it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
and the reason it works is because Al's singing the hell out of it, and Carl gives a great lead on his part, and the music video is freaking hilarious. So,
I don't know. It's hard for me to hear Crocodile Rock without the Farfisa organ and Elton John's falsetto, but that's just me.
for me, I mean, it's not even a contest in terms of like comparing that to that, but
I just think
I
that's
think
a
it's a
song that, in my opinion, is very hard to cover well, just because it's so distinct. I think
A lot
even
of Elton John songs are hard to cover.
Elton himself said there was a guy that like butchered it to hell on American Idol. He even said that this is a tough song because it's a novelty song. That and I think also just the vocal is so distinct. that it's like if you don't have a strong falsetto, it's gonna fall apart in 2 seconds. And that's what the guy's voice cracked like hell. Go check it out. It's John Stevens Crocodile. It's terrible.
Oh
If you haven't
God.
seen it.
All right. Riley.
All right.
Oh
You're gonna have
boy.
to use your imagination a little bit on this one, but kind of riding off Nate for a second. A 1989 release. Instead of releasing a 1985 album, we're combining self-titled and Still Cruising to create the album Gotcha Back. Uh,
Mike would like that.
Mike would have
That's
given
a good
that
I,
two
I,
title.
thumbs up.
I, I,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on that title. And I think in terms of production, granted, I still love 85. And I prefer Steve Levine's production on it, but we're gonna strip it back a little bit. You still have like a lot of those 80s synths, but it sounds a lot more like Still Cruising, where it's a bit cheesy rather than like synthy. A little bit more saxophone in there. Um, kind of a lot of like Kokomo style production, but just use your imagination a little bit on some of these songs. Obviously, the first track is going to be Get You Back, similar to the production that Mike wanted, where it sounds a lot more like Hungry Heart, and not synth out. But Get You Back, Somewhere Near Japan, She Believes in Love Again, Maybe I Don't Know, In My Car, closed out with Island Girl, and then side two, even though I guess this technically could be a CD, Kokomo, Make It Big, Crack at Your Love, It's Getting Late, I Do Love You, and then for the closer, California Dreamin'.
That's actually
Nice.
If
a
we're gonna say California Calling, I was like, oh God.
Hell no.
no. That's a really cool album. Actually, like you're taking the best of like the mid late '80s and putting it on one thing. I like
Yeah, and
that
I
a lot.
think, I mean, a lot of the songs might not match if you just copy paste them into a playlist. So I was like, you have to use your imagination a little bit with some of these. But I think the 80s for them, especially mid to late, there was a lot of good tracks, but they kind of were separated a little bit. I mean, I'm a big 85 fan, but admittedly, there's still a couple duds on there. And I think they had a couple good singles. I think California Dreaming is one that was one of their best covers, period. I actually considered Problem Child too, but I don't think that would have fit the track listing. Or Rock and Roll to the Rescue or Spirit of Rock and Roll. I mean, if you
Now
Love
you're
really
all
wanted to
those.
use,
speaking. Yeah, now you're
I'm
speaking
sorry,
Nate's
Nate. If you really
language.
wanted to use your imagination, you can maybe throw a couple of Brian solo tracks on there, maybe like Love and Mercy. Um, but I think it was just cool to think of like if they really took their time, especially since they didn't really need to release anything in the 80s. If they really took their time, spent the whole decade, and then they dropped that, I think it would be a pretty cool record.
Mhm.
And
So
what I think you should do is that's gonna be the vinyl and cassette version, and then just like '85, the CD has Male Ego as a bonus track.
Well, Male
Rock and Roll to
Ego's
the
gotta
Rescue
be.
is the vocal track or the bonus track. Oh, yeah, Male Ego probably could have been thrown on there too. I think the
That's
hard
wrong
thing
on
is
there.
just the synths though. They're like 85 is a lot more 80s where, Still Cruising, it dialed back a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
two different producers. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, the thing I wrote for Still Cruise, and I never thought of combining them. That's a really cool idea. Well, all I said, and I think this is something that I've seen people say before, we might have even talked about it, is you re-release the album and just compile the movie soundtrack songs. So
Hmm.
you throw on, you keep the movie soundtrack songs that are on there, maybe minus Wipeout, and then you throw on California Dreamin', Chasing the Sky. Maybe even It's a Beautiful Day. I know that's from a little earlier and it's from a completely forgotten movie, but you throw that on. Rock and Roll to the Rescue as well for Nate's sake. And yeah, you got a pretty cool album. It's cheesy, but it's also fun. And you make a full album versus the actual one that was released where you've got like the oldies on there at the end.
and like
So
some weird mix of wouldn't it be nice?
Hmm.
yeah.
This
So
was this was my idea with Still Cruising. So keep it the same 1 to 5. Keep Wipeout. I know it's not great, but just keep it. Keep Make It Big. Get rid of the last three. Push it back a year so you can put Problem Child on it. Then put Chasing the Sky, and then put. I'm not a big fan of it, but it thematically fits Happy Endings. Just put that on there so we have some place to find it. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but at least thematically it fits. Maybe make that the final song so you get to hear Little Richard's amazing vocals at the at the thing.
I mean, if they really wanted to, with the success of Kokomo, maybe just don't release anything and then spend a lot of time on Summer in Paradise and kind of flesh that out a bit more. And you have a couple of other tracks from, you could probably throw Somewhere Near Japan on there.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, you'd have to use imagination a little bit, 'cause, Somewhere Near Japan dropped in '89. I think it was also a single in '90, and then obviously Summer in Paradise came out in '92. But they didn't need to release an album every year, so they probably could have taken their time. But that was my mindset with my kind of thing of it. But I mean, Jake's is also, I think, honestly a bit more valid. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that because their whole thing was let's use songs from movies, but instead of using like recent songs, they just dropped random hits.
Well, because
It
they
was like
were
half greatest hits, half new album. It was weird.
Well, because two of them were in two very big. One was in Good Morning Vietnam. That movie was huge. One was in The Big Chill. That was a pretty popular movie. And then one was in Soul Man, which is a movie that is pretty controversial nowadays.
Just re-release the single then. Like,
Love the implication that Matt said that we pushed this back just to get Problem Child on. I think that's just fucking great.
It's a
So
good song. It's a
I'm
banger.
It
all
is.
for
I
it.
like
I'm
it
all
too.
for it. Absolutely.
And wasn't that a big movie too? I think it was decently big,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I know it wasn't as. I mean, like I know like Good Morning Vietnam was huge. Problem Child, it 72 million at the box office. That's not bad.
It's funny because you got some songs that would be on the soundtrack that were in like big movies, and then you got fucking Americathon with "It's a Beautiful Day," and
Or
then
dude, I saw the
and
Americathon soundtrack at the record store. I almost bought it.
Happy
just for
Ending
It was $3.
Happy Endings was that on the telephone or
from
something?
some Whoopi Goldberg movie that was like she fought the director. I know you're right. Like something like with it, one was from like a random National Lampoon vacation thing or whatever. Like they're just like
I
sometimes
think
like
at Beverly Hills
Through
Cop, I
Beverly
think.
Hills. I think that's somewhat of a cult classic. Cocktail, I know was a big hit. It wasn't a well regarded film, but it was a big hit. Yeah, I mean, I get it. The 80s were a big time for like 60s nostalgia. You started seeing. I think that's what The Big Chill is about. It's all about like like 60s nostalgia and all
Yeah.
that.
Now I've got freaking Peter Pan in my head, Matt, with fucking happy endings. Thanks
Hey,
for that.
listen, I could have suggested Lady Liberty on there and I didn't.
Well, now you said it.
And
So
one of the rules is that we can
Ruined the mood.
imagine alternate arrangements, right? That's something you said earlier on. I think it would have been cool if they had a version of Wipeout without the rapping and a little bit more like the original. And
mhm.
maybe they have Stamos or Kowalski or Figueroa, or maybe all three of them or two of them do like kind of like a drum battle kind of thing, which obviously like would be cooler on
John
stage than it
Stamos
is.
drum battle.
It would be
That's
cooler
also a
on
good point. Why
stage.
didn't they? I think it would have been cool to maybe have like a live album from the '80s.
Yeah,
Mm.
Consider
totally.
maybe like '83 live album.
It just came to mind because I saw a clip of them playing this in the 90s where it was Stamos drumming and they played it like the original for like a few seconds before they went into the
Billy
Beach
Hinchy.
Boys rap version with Billy Hinchy rapping it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that would almost have been a cooler feature for a more fitting feature for Stamos than what it ended up being,
I
which more people take issue with.
I think Billy Hinchy should have did the rap on the album versus the Fat Boy.
Yeah,
That'd be more interesting
that
for
would
the
have
So
actually
cool.
been cool.
Finally, years of being a touring musician, you can get a song on the album, and it's a rap version of Wipeout.
You didn't get honking, but you got Wipeout, Billy. All right, Matt, I think you're up next here. If you have another.
This one's gonna be kind of minor. So looking at All
All right.
Summer Long, wouldn't change much. I do think it's pretty good. I would probably throw out our favorite recording sessions, and I don't know if this was recorded yet, but I would love to hear their a version of I Do show up somewhere because I think that's gorgeous.
That would have been good for Shutdown Volume 2,
That was it
actually.
on shutdown. Yeah, I
But
got it on
I
shutdown.
think it could work here too because you got like Hushabye and all that stuff will run away. And
Yeah.
I just think it's really gorgeous, and I think it's a shame that it didn't get out until 1990, because it's really good. And I don't think the original was not a hit at all. I don't think it was.
I don't think so. I don't think
So
so.
they could repurpose this as an original song, as far as I'm concerned. It's like the what was it? The cover of that Dante and his friends song. Like that wasn't a huge hit. So you could basically say it's like almost a Beach Boys original because it wasn't a huge hit. So I would say put that on something, whether you want to put it on Shutdown Volume 2 or put it on this. I wouldn't change much on this. I just our favorite chorus is just kind of fillery. So I
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe cut off Do You Remember too and put something else on there, like All Dressed Up for School.
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Do You Remember either. So
Not a big fan of Do You Remember.
that
I know Nate likes it, but
that would be a good one
it's
to swap out. That's all I could think of right now as far as like maybe some other minor things you could change, but that's
yeah, I mean, you're kind of getting the point where the albums are just actually good as is.
I've got
I'd
some.
throw Out in the Country onto Carl and the Passions.
Well, Car and the Passions is kind of a mess, honestly. Like that could use some help. I would say
There's only two songs on there that I would change.
Oh Sweet Something I would put on there instead of Hold On to Your
Yep,
Prayer.
take
So
out one of
you
the
put
Dennis ones.
you put that on and replace "Make It Good" with "Oh Sweet Something" from
Yeah, Cuddle Up,
Blondie.
I could deal with just one of them, but two of the
Oh,
old.
oh, me too. I like "Cuddle Up." It's just overproduced, but
Yeah,
Plus,
make
then you
it.
get more Ricky and Blondie representation if you put on "Oh Sweet Something."
I
yeah.
can't believe
For a
that's
while, I thought that was closer to a Holland outtake. I didn't realize until recently that that was more of a Carl and the Passions outtake. So I'm like,
It
oh
makes
hell
sense. It
no,
sounds
I'm
pretty
putting it
similar
on there.
to "Hold On, Dear Brother" sonically with the
I
arrangements.
prefer it to that.
yeah, that's why I would take off that.
Ooh.
I think
That's
I
like
like,
this.
you know what I'll say, Riley? I on that song, like I like what they're going for, and I do really like the bridge a lot. I think the bridge is really cool. Like the "In Your Heart, you da da da," that's really cool. But like the
Such a
whole
good
verse
bridge.
thing just gets a little
Oh,
stale for
I
me.
love "Hold On, Dear
the
Brother."
same problem I
That's.
have with Living with a Heartache. It's a nice idea, it just goes on forever. Like
Living with a heartache.
Living with
I
a
think
Heart-
those are two very different songs,
I'm
Matt.
not saying the songs are
Personally.
the same. I'm saying it's the same idea where it just goes on too long.
Da 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 da.
That's the
Still
thing
wish
though, the
you were
Carl
mine.
the 72 material with Ricky and Blondie. I mean, Carl and the Passions and Holland. I don't think there's a lot I really would change. I mean, except for the Dennis stuff, but in terms of like the other material, it's pretty damn good. I mean, there's a reason Holland is considered like their last great album.
I wouldn't touch Holland at all. I think it's fine as it is.
Yeah, I would honestly, the only thing I can maybe think of is take out, I mean, granted I still like the song, but Funky Pretty and replace it with We Got Love.
Oh,
No,
I can't do that.
I would take Funky Pretty over We Got Love.
Well, my thing with "We Got Love," and I actually re-listened to it again just for this episode, just to remind myself of like the studio version because I hadn't heard it in a while. I love the live version of that. Like on the in concert album, I think it kicks ass. But the studio version, I'm just like, it's okay, but like it just kind of lacks life compared to that version. And I can totally see why, like when the record company was like, oh, we don't, you guys got to come up with a single here, and they're like, we got to replace a track. I can totally see why that was the one that they cut
Yeah,
for
but
Sailing and Sailing.
but like with Holland, I'm really like nitpicking. I mean, I would honestly, if I could just tack on "We Got Love" somewhere. I mean, the album is still, you could probably just tack it on somewhere. But
The other material that was recorded around that time, like because I like the songs like "Carry Me Home" and "Hard Time,"
Yeah.
which is a really great Blondie rocker. I love those songs, but like I'm just trying to picture them on Holland, and like I can't. Like I just don't think they necessarily fit. I think if you're gonna put one on, I guess it would be "Carry Me Home," but like as Mike said, that might be too much of a downer for it. So
Well, I would probably, this
especially
is probably a scorching hot take, but what I would do, and it's not really Holland, but it was include Holland, take the Mount Vernon Fairway, get rid of all the spoken word crap, and just have like
keep
the
the music.
instrumental like it was on Good Vibrations, because that's the only thing
The
I can like.
music's gorgeous.
The music is gorgeous, but
it
then it
is.
has all that like weird talking over it and like that Pied Piper
Well,
thing
there's
that
a
reminds
reason they
me.
didn't want it on Holland.
Yeah, no, I get it. Then it's like that weird Pied Piper thing that reminds me too much of the one voice on Child of Winter.
Don't say it. Oh, you said it.
Oh.
I'm
Well,
gonna
if we're
add
on
in.
that
I'm gonna add
topic,
in a
let's put
bleep.
Child of Winter on 15 Big Ones.
Oh my Lord. I mean, 15 Big Ones is kind of all over the place for me, honestly.
Well, I
Yeah.
have a question. If you guys could add a song, or I mean a few if you want, but maybe just we all think of one that would have been cool to have been included on Brian's At My Piano album. A song that we would have liked to have
Please
heard
let me
with
wonder.
Brian. Yeah, that's a
Yes,
good one.
yes.
That's a good
I think
one.
that's my vote.
Let me look at the track listing of that and see what's on there. Okay, so I have it right here. So we've got
Let Him Run Wild isn't on there, right? Because I'd vote for that
No,
too.
it's not. Yeah.
I was gonna vote for Let 'Em Run Wild.
One that came to mind to me was Keep an Eye on Summer. I think would be
Mm.
really cool, brought down to
Hmm.
just piano. Or maybe The Lonely Sea. That could be pretty too.
Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Just looking at the track list, you could probably throw probably I'll bet he's nice would sound pretty cool on piano.
The night was
Yeah,
I'll
for
take the night. I'll
sure.
take the night was so young.
Night was so
Or that.
When I Grow Up to Be a Man would be cool too, with a lot of keyboard stuff going on in that song.
Hey Little Tomboy.
Yeah, let's
Maybe it would be more
resurrect it. Why
pleasant
not?
with,
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually kind of want to hear that now that you mention it.
It would be really upbeat. Dun, 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 dun.
I've still got a few more album suggestions if we want to share
Yeah,
some
if you
more
want to run
here?
through
I
them.
got one big one that we haven't gone over yet. It's a change. It's one thing I'm changing, and it's to today. I know, Riley. I would not
I know what
mind
you're
not.
gonna say.
Yeah, I think you do too. I would get rid of bull sessions. I don't hate it. And I do like, I think, was it your argument, Riley, that it's kind of like a come down to earth moment,
Yeah.
at the end of the, so I do get that point. But personally, I would like to remove that and put Guess I'm Dumb
Oh yeah,
during that
fuck yeah.
closing like suite
Dude,
of
just tack it
ballads.
on. Just tack it
Yeah,
on.
I view it like this. It's like, okay, like obviously, like, we don't think of Glenn Campbell as like, a core Beach Boy, but he was in the touring band at that time. And in a way, it's like you almost put this as like I know it was already given to him as like a parting gift from Brian, like here's a song for you. But like as a parting gift with the Beach Boys, put it at the closing
Probably
track
get a
on
lot
the
more
Beach
attention.
Boys today. Right. And I think it's a gorgeous song. I absolutely love the arrangement of it. I think it's a beautifully done, and I love the lyrics too. And I'd love to have Glenn singing it because I honestly can't picture any of the other guys singing it better than Glenn could. He just gives it such a great vocal.
Perfect
So
vocal. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that would fit really well with those other ballads. And I think it
Hard
would
agree.
move this album up maybe a full step for me, honestly, just having it on there. So
Hard agree. And if we're gonna talk about songs that Brian gave away, I would maybe put Surf City on Surfer Girl.
I would
That
love
would
to
be pretty
hear.
crazy.
I would
Or
have
I
loved
guess Surfing USA since it kind of came
Would
out
it be
that around
Jan
that
and
time.
Dean singing with them, or would it be the Beach Boys singing?
I think you could have them as backing vocalists,
Hmm.
Yeah, that would have been
like they were on
interesting.
Party, or maybe put Surf City on Party.
Oh, that would
Do
be
like an
cool, like a
acoustic
party version
version.
of it. Yeah, that would have been badass.
mm.
While we're on
Oh
the
yeah, that would have.
while we're on the subject of songs he wrote with Russ Titleman, I would love to have heard a final version of "Sherry She Needs Me" with his '64 voice or whenever they
I'm
were.
surprised Riley
Yeah, that would
hasn't
have been
brought that up
great.
yet. Yeah, I was waiting for Riley to
That would
bring
have
that
been
up.
good on either
I
today,
mentioned it already on the MIU one, so I didn't really
Oh,
bother
okay,
putting it
okay.
for
Summer Days, maybe, because Summer Days
Yo, yeah, that would have been
I
Summer
could.
Days would be
So
knocked up a
I,
song.
I wrote you replace I'm Bugged at My Old Man on side two, and then you put Sherry or Sandy, it was known at the time, but then Sherry She Needs Me. You put that either as the album closer or you put it right before And Your Dream Comes True. That's where I think it would be
I
best.
think I might have the craziest suggestion of the night.
All right, let's hear it.
I mean, okay.
And I'm not saying if I had a time machine, I wouldn't actually go back in time and do this. I just wouldn't hate it.
Oh God.
Don't run away on Pet Sounds,
You know, I wouldn't mind it.
right?
I would not mind it because I
Like
freaking love that song so much. And
it
I do think
sounds
that's
very
exactly what
much,
Bruce was
Would
going
we
for
maybe
with it. So
substitute Sloop John B with
yeah,
that?
yes.
Because then
Yeah.
you could still have Brian doing a cover song, and you have the really cool arrangement. And Sloop John B could still, be its own
and Mike would have probably been less
single.
pissed
Sloop
about
John B
not
could be the
having
single, but
songs.
then you would have that'd be a cool way to open side two, close side one.
I could see it coming off of Let's Go Away for a while into Don't Run
Yeah,
Away.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, that would be good.
Nate, the way you presented that, I was expecting you to be like,
I thought you were gonna talk about Summer in Paradise.
I would put Summer of Love on Pet Sounds or on
Yeah,
Smile. And then
yeah.
he's like, and then he says something, it's like, oh, that's actually kind of a valid, like that's a pretty respectable take there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Don't Run Away. Like that's such a beautiful song. That's one of those ones where it's like if you want to like someone that's like, just getting into the band or like they haven't like, done a full deep dive, that's one of those like, I know it's not a Beach Boys
If they
song, but
haven't
it's like
gotten into
here
Bruce and Terry
you
yet.
want to hear, yeah, you want to hear something really cool that Bruce did. Here you go. Yeah. I mean, I like some of the other Bruce and Terry songs, but for me, like that one is the best by like a wide margin.
Oh
So
yeah, it's incredible.
Hmm.
Bumping up again. I mean, I don't have a full like track list, but how good would a combined LA Light and Keeping the Summer Alive sound?
I mean, it would be
I
like
can we
could get
give the
down with
Keeping the
that.
Summer Alive songs the LA production?
I was gonna say because it
Yeah,
would be mostly LA.
duh.
It would be mostly LA for
I
me.
mean, there's some good on Keeping the Summer Alive. I mean, title track going on, of course. Even Santa Ana Wins.
Yeah,
Maybe a Summer Your
Falling
Love.
one with
I'll give you Endless Harmony. We'll concede that. Then from LA
Hell
Light,
yeah.
Shit.
I would take Good Timin', Lady Linda, Full Sail, Angel Come Home,
So like the entire
Love
album.
Surrounds Me, Cut Sue Muhammad in Half, Goodbye, Here Comes the Night. But yeah,
Single
basically
version of
everything but
Here
Here
Comes
Comes
the
the
Night.
Night, honestly. And I would probably cut Shorten and Bread because
Here Comes the Night. I know it was released as a single, but should have just stayed a single.
yeah, I should have.
Take that off LA and well shit, you could put like anything.
Yeah. Well, what I said for LA, I said replace the shortened and bread version at the end of the album with California Feeling,
Yeah.
which should have gotten a release at the time.
Is that
And
the
then
is that
and
I
then
was walking down the coast?
Yeah. Yes, Matt. Yes.
yeah, you beat me to it. I was gonna say you just completely wipe out the 10-minute Here Comes the Night, and then you make a second California Suite, and you make it Looking Down the Coast and Santa Ana Winds.
Yeah, no, I like that California Calling song. That's on Made in California, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think they should have done like a covers album like randomly in their career? That would have been really cool.
Do you
That's
mean
called
like you
Party.
Not
compile
a
like you
compilation, like well, I know they did Party, but I mean like you know how Bowie did
Sort of like
Pinups?
John Lennon's rock and roll.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like John Lennon's rock and roll, like imagine like a mid 80s like covers album. Like that would just
Be
There's
My
so many good
Baby.
covers they did on stage, like Runaway, you could have in there.
yeah.
I love a live version of Runaway like available. That
I
kicks
think they should
ass.
have done like a live album in the early 80s before Dennis passed. That would have been
Hmm. Hmm.
Here's a change I make to Party while we're on the subject of Party. A couple things I could change there, but one thing that I would definitely change is I Get Around Little Deuce Coupe, whatever
Oh
that's
yeah,
supposed to
little
be.
just
douche.
wipe
Yeah, I
that
don't
out.
need that one.
Take that away, put Ruby Baby, put something, I don't care what. Just there's some
Put
good ones.
put
Satisfaction would have been cool.
yeah,
Satisfaction,
yeah.
Ruby Baby, something. That is just silly. That is just like the worst of their corny humor. I don't know what that.
Even without oinking on Ruby Baby, we would
Well, we'll mix
prefer it.
that out. We'll mix that out.
No, it can stay. It can stay. It's
What
part of the
about
charm.
like the 90s album that they were gonna do instead of Summer in Paradise or after Summer in Paradise when they had Brian back or something like the Paley stuff.
Well, definitely. What's that one song?
Soul searching.
Yes,
That's
that
gotta be
one.
that's
That's
gotta be
gotta
on
be
there.
on there. You're Still a
Yeah.
Mystery.
I
Yeah.
think that could have some of the Mike and Terry stuff could have worked with much better production.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like
it's interesting to
Lahaina,
imagine what those would sound like if produced by Brian.
yeah, Lahaina
Like
produced
an
by Brian.
Island
Strange Things
Fever.
Happen.
Yeah.
For Friends, I would just cut off Transcendental Meditation, and you don't gotta put nothing there. Just get rid of it.
So so
20-minute album. Oh my God.
this is one of the only like major like fantasy ones I have where it's like I am kind of like jumping ahead to a song that wasn't recorded already or like wouldn't have been done by the time of the album's release. But I would have loved to have seen like if it had been finished, replace Transcendental Meditation with I Went to Sleep as the closer.
Hmm.
Mm.
Does feel
You
like
know,
something you
yeah,
put on
it's
Friends.
like very like peaceful and unlike it's funny because Transcendental Meditation, it's in the title, but like it's not a meditative song at all. Where like I Went to Sleep is. It's very calming and relaxing and like I feel like it totally fits like as like a closer to the album because the whole album is like that.
Well, the
So
only other thing that I know this wasn't finished yet either, but I'm just looking at what was on the twofer, and We're Together Again. That would be kind of cool if that showed up on something.
Yeah, they're
That could kind of
yeah, that
again.
fit.
one's
I could
solid.
see that
I
on
mean
2020.
I'm yeah.
That could
That would have
be.
been a cool opener for a 60s, mid 60s album, I feel like.
Yeah, that feels like a kind of like album that's like, hey, we're back. Um,
2020, do it again, take off, do it again, put that on there. I'm sure
I
you'd
mean,
love
I'm
that.
not the biggest fan of Do It Again, but I'm not touching it because I know it has its fans.
We're Together Again kind of has a bit of like a Archie's vibe. Like it fits with that sort of like bubblegum pop late 60s thing.
Well, apparently, from what I've read, that's the song that Bruce like very loosely based Deirdre off of. Like, if you listen to the beginning, it's like "We're
Mm.
together again." The trouble you had, like it's yeah,
Mhm.
they're like cousins, distant cousins.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And maybe that's why he gave Brian a writer's credit. Although We're Together Again was Ron Wilson who wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah, so never mind then.
I only have two more album changes I wanted to mention that I haven't said already, and then you guys can just share anything else you guys can think of. The two that I haven't said yet, 15 Big Ones, I would bump A Casual Look and Blueberry Hill, sorry, Mike, and put on Sea Cruise and Ruby Baby, just because I really like Dennis's vocal on Sea Cruise, and I think Ruby Baby, this might have actually been a Love You outtake, so it might have been a little too late, but I really like this cover a lot. It's got like the cool harmonica on it, and it's got like that cool 70s Brian, vibe. So I really like that one a lot. I also wouldn't have minded. I think you would like this, Nate. I wouldn't have minded ending side one of 15 Big Ones with Brian's version of "You've Lost That Love and Feeling." So then you've got both sides closing with Righteous Brothers and Spectre covers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can get down with that.
And then the other one I forgot to mention, on Love You, I would be totally cool with replacing Love Is a Woman with either a fully completed version of Marilyn Rovell or that special feeling, which is in demo form on the Brian cassette demos. But I would have liked to have heard a finished version of that. And then I'd like to see the album end with Airplane. I think that would have been a perfect closer compared to Love Is a Woman, which is kind of,
Mm.
again, I'm fine with the song. I do listen to it. Like I've got it on my playlist and stuff, but like it's not, I don't think it's the best closer for sure. So
Swap the two and call it a day. Just have Airplane be the final song, and there you go.
yeah, well, you could do that too. Yeah.
I would probably maybe a hot take, but I might pull Good Time off that one, or at least have them re-recorded just because it's not in the same style of the rest of the record.
I like the idea of adding synths to it for sure. You just like you can even like keep some of the original stuff, but just give it that Love You 15 Big Ones sound. Add in the mode
Seems like such an
and
easy song to do that for
I
too.
know like it's wonky. It's already like a very quirky and fun song. It's like it would totally fit with that production
My
on it. So
girlfriend Betty, bah, bah, she's
Yeah,
all
yeah, exactly.
and so she puts her falsies on. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
surprised like they didn't dig out like freaking Help Is on the Way for this album. Like, this is just like all the quirky stuff. Um, but I wouldn't change too much of that one.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
only other album, I guess, big change I would have done is keeping the summer alive. I mean, besides rehauling the production, I mean, some of the cocaine stuff, if you can get that on there. Like I know Oh Lord was around that time. I know it might be jumping a year, but Stevie.
Stevie. Yeah.
Yeah, just chuck a couple
Outside
of
of,
better songs on there.
I didn't bring this up initially because even though it was recorded around Sunflower and Surf's Up, I didn't think that it would fit on either of those albums. But I do think Won't You Tell Me would fit on Carl and the Passions because it kind of goes along with Dennis's like melodramatic ballads. And that way you'd have like a Brian lead on that album. Because if I'm not mistaken, Brian doesn't sing lead on any of those songs on that album. So it'd be nice to have a song with Brian singing.
No, he doesn't. I don't think.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah. Yeah, I never would have thought of that, moving it all the way to Carl and the Passions. But honestly, like, because I do really like that recording, even though I think it's just kind of like a guide vocal from Brian. I don't think that was ever meant for like release. But like,
Wow, that's a
if you're
crazy guide vocal.
I know. And apparently Carl was on the original too, but they mixed him out on the Feel Flows version. But if you're gonna put it somewhere, I was thinking, well, Sunflower, I don't really think it fits. Surfs Up, I'm like, I mean, I guess it would fit a little better, but I wouldn't want to replace any of those songs really. But yeah, and like Carl and the Passions, which is already kind of like you've got a variety of styles going, and like you said, it gives Brian a lead vocal. I think that would, if you're gonna put it somewhere, that makes the most sense. So, and I mean, that's a
And it
great.
would
I
have
love
tossed
that freaking
Murray another
song.
bone before he died.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, considering Murray only has a couple of like actual credits, they're pretty damn good
Two-step
credits.
sidestep on Carl and the Passions.
And the KFC song, and
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
no, I was referring to Breakaway, and yeah, won't you tell me?
That was
No, I
apparently
know. I was just fucking around.
was written for the Monkees. That's what I've always heard, or was inspired
Won't
by
you
the
tell
Monkees.
me?
No,
Breakaway.
no, no.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
won't you tell me? Almost sounds more like a Zombies or like Association song versus yeah, Breakaway.
I could see that.
All right, is that about it, guys? Any other
That's we
thoughts?
went. I think we went through every album, man.
I think that
Pretty
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 much
much.
much.
covers the bases.
Thank him. Would you put Thank Him on an early studio
Oh
album
my,
had it been
I'd throw
finished?
that on Surfing
yes.
USA.
Yeah, Surfing USA, take out Finders
Although
Keeper.
I guess it has nothing to do with
No.
surfing at all.
Same
But
thing with Surfing USA and Surfing Safari have the same, I think, thing where they're kind of restricted and limited by what Capitol wanted, and there was a lot of good material that they really could have pulled from even then. But
and maybe I'd save Thank Him for Surfer Girl when they were getting a little more experimental.
yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
if we're gonna put on Surfer Girl, I would say take out either South Bay
Boogie
Surfer
Woogie.
or one of the instrumentals. I don't care which.
yeah.
Also, for the hell of it, I would maybe throw Little Girl I Once Knew as like a bonus track on Party, maybe, even though I know it came out a little bit after Party was done, if
Shit,
I'm not
man, throw that on
mistaken.
Pet Sounds.
Yeah, it
wait,
could work
no.
on that
So I was
sound.
gonna say
It
Summer
couldn't be
Days, but
on
it came out
Summer Days.
after.
Summer Days is too early, although we
Yeah.
are like letting us do that for this, but
Yeah.
Well, Summer Days could use some help.
But even if it was on Party, I know it sort of distracts from the whole party theme and vibe. But if it was the last song as just like a little bonus thing, I mean, I don't think any of the teenagers buying it at the time would have cared or
It
complained,
doesn't
you
fit the
know.
album.
Just have them.
That's fair.
Here's how
Yeah.
you do it.
No, no, that's what they would say, and it's or what they could just said, but like the albums weren't really albums, I guess, really.
Here's how you do it.
Right, right.
You do it like the original version of Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, where she's like, "Thank you for listening to my album. Here's a special preview from the Backstreet Boys." So you just have Brian that says, "Thank you for buying this album. Here's a special preview of what you're doing next." And then you put that song on there.
Or hey, everyone at the party, listen to this song that we just cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And they just hear
Yeah.
laughing over the whole song.
Over the silent bits, you just hear people chewing potato chips.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that they said that that song failed because there was too much quiet, right? That's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Whatever.
One last, I just thought of this because one of our commenters, one of our frequent listeners mentioned this last year, I believe, and I just wanted to maybe briefly cover it here. He said, if there were any songs that weren't released as singles that you would have had released as a single, like if you could pick one or two, what would you pick? And we'll say like a US or UK single, because obviously some of these songs were singles in other
Thing is, Beach Boys
countries.
had a lot of singles.
They did, but like
Hmm.
pick an album track basically that you would have liked
Oh,
to have
that's
seen.
a Here She Comes.
Hmm.
Here comes. Yeah,
That
that would
that would
make
have done
sense.
well on rock radio, I think.
Mhm. Matt, do you
Forever.
have a pick?
Forever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for Love You, I mean, I don't know how well anything from Love You would have charted, but I definitely would have went with The Night Was So Young over Honking Down the Highway as a single. I think it's a lot more accessible.
Hmm.
Can I pick two maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can pick cover many you want.
I
Yeah.
think Strange Things Happen, I think could have actually, at the very least done well on like adult contemporary charts, if not like fit in with some of that like mid 90s kind
Hmm.
of like rock resurgence, because the song does have some pretty like bitchin' guitar. And the other one, this one is totally random, but I was thinking about how the Beatles had Twist and Shout. I feel like the Beach Boys version of Johnny Be Good, that either the concert version or the one that was on that 1964 copyright release.
Hmm.
But yeah, an official Beach Boys version of Johnny Be Good as a single, I think would have done really well in the early 60s.
Mm.
Hmm. I
Wow.
guess my answer would be I'm gonna go with Matt. Forever, I think would be my number one if I could just pick one to be a single. And then
It
since you
was technically
mentioned
a single.
It was a
oh,
B-side, yes.
Yeah, no.
oh yeah, it
Well,
was a B
and
side, and then it was yes, as Nate
an A
says,
side as
yes.
well.
But
Oh, well,
to,
yes, that
but
one. But I meant more it was a B-side, but I mean, who
But the
cares?
dentist, I hear what you're saying. No,
Nate's trying to
agreed.
ruin my night before we wrap up here. No, I was gonna say since we were talking about Summer in Paradise, I could totally see a alternate universe where with better production, and better promotion, Lahaina Aloha got like some FM play. I could have
Yeah,
seen that.
totally.
Yeah. So
Wait, that was a
oh,
single?
no, it
California?
wasn't.
No,
I'm saying
no,
I
no,
could have
no.
seen it being. Oh,
No, no, I know that. I'm looking at Holland. California Saga California was a
it
single.
was a single.
You didn't
Yes.
know
Yeah.
that?
I don't
Yeah.
think it did anything, but it was a
And it was
single.
also a different mix.
What a choice for a
It's
single.
It's
not
a
as good
better
of a
mix.
mix either. I've
No,
only
it's
Oh,
heard it.
not. It's
I
awful.
prefer it. I
You
like
prefer
it's
it?
got the brass overdubs
Oh, really?
and the Moog. Yeah,
Yeah,
more
I heard
Moog.
it once and I was like, man, what they massacred my boy.
Did you listen to it on the Ceylon Sailor box set? Is that the version you heard?
It was either that or I heard it just on the Beach Boys station one time on
Oh yeah,
Sirius.
because I
Yeah.
do like the version that's on the Best of the Brother Years compilation from, I think it's like 2000. That
Hmm.
one sounds really clean, really good.
I'll have to check that one out then.
What a weird choice of single that was.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, there's all
Really,
sorts
to
of.
me, to me that one seems so obvious as a
Oh,
single
it's
because it's
accessible for
like
sure. I get
From
it.
California
Yeah.
Girls
Holland?
Part Two.
I would probably put like Only With You or something. I wouldn't pick
For
that.
Holland, that's a tough one. Sail on Sailor is a great
Sailor Sailor,
single.
yes, I agree. But like for this, I wouldn't pick
Um,
I
that.
think
I
California
think if you
Saga,
chose a really cool B-side, it would have been you could have what was the B-side to Sail on Sailor? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
it was I
Only
think
With You.
I have
Only With You, which I said should have been the A side as the
yeah.
second
I
side.
Yeah, I think
think
yeah.
I think
Only
if
with
you
you.
did We Got Love as the B-side, that would have been cool.
Yeah,
Well, what's very interesting about them is they don't really have a lot of like true B-sides. They're not like Oasis or Prince that have like all these, genuine B-sides.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, I feel like in the early days they totally did, like
Don't Worry Baby,
409
I Get
and
Around. Oh my
yeah,
God.
No, I
and
mean like it was only
I
the
know-
B-side.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
one? Celebrate the News. Like they don't have a lot of those kind of.
Oh yeah, no true B-sides,
No
right?
true B. They don't have a ton of true B sides. No, yeah, they have some great B sides. Absolutely, I agree with that.
Wait, what's
Mhm.
a true B-side?
So it's
A
only
B, only a
Oh,
B
basically,
you're
side.
saying when it's only on the B-side of a record
and
and
it's
not
never
on
on
the
Yes.
a studio
album.
album or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I see
like
what you're
Talk
saying.
Tonight by Oasis or Erotic City by Prince, something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So thank you everybody for listening to the 66th episode of Good Timin'. Hope you all enjoyed the show. I had a really fun time discussing these alternate track lists with you guys. And to those of you watching or listening, we love to hear some of your own personal album changes or tweaks that you would have personally made. So feel free to share those in the comments. We'll definitely check them out. As always, if you like this podcast and want to hear more, feel free to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate the support as it motivates us to make more episodes in the future. Also, as a reminder, the Good Timin' podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So there's plenty of different places to listen and keep up with the show. So thank you again, everybody, for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye bye.